Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back or welcome to the Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Stunning Steve Barber. And today is going to be a little bit different episode. I know I'll say that every time, but it's also been about a month or so since I've recorded. Um, I definitely apologize for that for anybody who's actually been waiting for me to put out another episode. There are reasons. I will say there have been reasons why I have not been able to record, and I will actually talk about those reasons and some more things about the podcast at the end of the show. I do want to focus on the Survivor Series show that is actually coming up this coming Saturday, and the the Survivor Series Wargames 2024. That's going to be happening with WWE because this is one of the big five. Of course, amongst WrestleMania Royal Rumble. Actually, I see Big Five is really the Big Four. WrestleMania Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, and now Survivor Series. The fifth one was the King of the Ring, and they're not. That's not really included in Big Five, even when they do that anymore. Um, but I will have to admit, when I'm doing my previewing kind of predictions of the show, I don't get a chance to watch the product as much as really what I'd like to, not live anyway. I catch replays when I can, um, and I catch a lot of the review shows, and so I am able to keep with I guess the storylines, if you want to call them that. I'm able to keep up with what's going on with the shows, just not as much, and that's just WWE. Like some of the other companies, I really have been able to keep up with much of anything. Just tells you how busy I've been, and that's some of the things I will discuss at the end of the show. But first, if you would like to let me know your own thoughts, if you want to give any suggestions for the show, send an email to armchairbookingpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find the show on Facebook. You can find the show on Instagram. Just do a search for Armchair Booking. You can find the show on X Twitter. Apparently, that's what people are calling it now, is X Twitter. Instead of saying X, formerly known as Twitter, people are just calling it X Twitter. It's a kind of a play on words. And you can find it at Booking Armchair. You can also find the show on TikTok. I haven't done anything with that in like 3 years, so Bob, I may end up just actually, because unfortunately I use that channel to keep up with other channels. Even though I have a personal TikTok, I've been using the wrestling one. Don't know how that started, but it just did. But you can also find that, just look for Armchair Booking. And obviously, you can find the show on YouTube. If you would like to purchase some merch for the show, which I'm not even wearing my own merch right now, just for other reasons, you can find it at tpublic.com/user/armchair-booking-podcast, where you can get t-shirts, you can get coffee mugs, you can get pillows, you can get phone cases, like this one. This one has been through a lot. Actually, it's got scratches. It tells you also how long I had that case, and also tells you how long I've phone. The phone's still working good for me, so I don't see any reason to get a new one. But all kinds of stuff there. If you will give the show a 5-star rating, this is on the audio platforms. If you give the show a 5-star rating, if you're able to give it a review, I will actually read the review on a future episode. I've done it before. If you are unable to actually give a review, I suppose the platform you use, and I don't tell anybody to change platforms, but if the platform you use does not have the capability of giving a review along with the rating, just send a screenshot to the to armchairbookingpodcast@gmail.com. Just send me a screenshot of the rating and your review, and I'll read that. I promise I've done it. So, I'm trying to think if there was anything else I was going to say. Yes, YouTube, like, share, subscribe, please. The subscriber count all of a sudden jumped up a couple months ago, and that particular episode also, it became the second highest watched episode for the show. I was actually kind of amazed, and I was actually talking about all the things going on with AEW, and that one actually, some people got a little bit um upset with some of the things I said. Well, okay, that's fine. I mean, I'm not here to please everybody. Can't do it. It's impossible. Trust me, I'm 51 years old. I've learned that you cannot please everybody. And if you try to please everybody, it's a fruitless endeavor. So I want to go ahead and talk about Survivor Series. Only 5 matches scheduled. which is what they have been doing over the past couple of years. In a way, I guess they feel less is more. Um, so the thought is give 5 quality matches instead of, we'll give you 7 or 8 matches, 3 of which are just filler. You know, now we also know they somehow managed to still fill up a 3.5 hour show with just 5 matches, and a lot of it is video packages and things like that. Now, come January, because this is one of the last ones that's going to be on the network itself, on Peacock. Come January, everything apparently is going to be on Netflix. Everything is going to be on Netflix. On one hand, this makes me go, hey, Raw and SmackDown won't have commercials. If they keep having commercials, I'm not going to be happy. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other people aren't going to be happy either, because it's one of the things that drives you nuts when I am able to actually sit down and watch, like I was this past Monday, and I'll get into that. When you're able to watch, and every match has a commercial break in the middle of the match. I'm not a fan of that. And of course, maybe they say, well, watch the pay per view, watch the PLE. You won't have that. How about you just don't have it either? Figure out how to time your commercial breaks. But the matches I've listed, I'm not going by the order Wikipedia does, because Wikipedia always lists the what's more likely going to be the main event first. But it's the order that the matches were made. Um, but I'm going to go with, maybe my own order. Since the other 3 non-War Games matches are all title matches. But first, Gunther and Damian Priest. My prediction for that one is Gunther is going to retain. I'm not going to say wins the match. I'm saying he's retaining. Gunther is going to walk out of there as a champion, but I'm going to say it'll be with shenanigans. Excuse me. If he pins Damian Priest, it won't be clean. It'll be because of interference. It'll be because of what, even though um, Gunther is one of the best wrestlers in the world, bar none. Gunther, he can beat you, and obviously I'm talking about the character, but I mean, he is so good. He can beat you in so many different ways. You just can't worry about one different finishing move. Or signature move, you have to worry about quite a few. And in this case, you also have to worry about interference, whether it be from Gunther's cronies or, Damian Priest, since he's no longer in Judgment Day, they booted him out. You have to worry about them interfering and cost him the world title. But yeah, I think Gunther is going to retain, although it will be with shenanigans. In the triple threat match, Sheamus, Braun Breaker, Ludwig Kaiser. Triple threat match for the Intercontinental title. I think Sheamus walks out with the title. Reason why, in fact, I think Sheamus is going to he's going to pin Ludwig Kaiser. He's going to, or submit him, whatever. Because Sheamus, they've really been pushing this whole Sheamus Grand Slam, Ultimate Grand Slam champion. And I think it's only fitting. I mean, he's been around the company for a while. I mean, he's definitely paid his dues. He's put in all the work, and he's won every other title. How about, it'll be just very kind of poetic, I guess, to put the IC title on him, even if it is for a short time. I actually do like Sheamus. He's one of those, you're going to get a good match out of him. So I say give it to him. Not only that, but having him pin Ludwig Kaiser is a way for Braun Breaker to lose the title without actually losing the title. If you've been following the show long enough, or if you know me personally, you know my thoughts on any kind of multiple person match like this, where it's, like a triple threat, fatal 4-way, freaking 5-way, sexy 6-way, whatever. Make them elimination matches, because the matches like this, where all of a sudden there's no disqualifications, no countouts, it's a cop out to me. It's a way of putting someone over, or giving somebody a title without actually having the other person lose the title. And so we can say, well, it's a way to rebuild. Now they have a reason to have a match. You already had a reason. The title was already there. There's no reason to add this thing. Well, they never actually lost. Well, you're watering down the title because you're saying that somebody else could be pinned and um they lose the title for somebody. It to me just doesn't make sense. Make it an elimination match, and I guess that was the original thought, but VKM squashed on it. What I understand is Jim Ross wanted them to be elimination. They tried it, but Vince didn't like it. Well, Vince is no longer there. Vince isn't coming back. Apparently, Vince is forming a new company. I can't see it. I just don't. Um, the Vince McMahon name is now besmirched. He's like a pariah now in the wrestling business because of the things that have happened, and it has been confirmed. He and Linda are separated. It's kind of like one of the things I brought. Like, well, no crap. They've been separated for a while. Everybody's been saying that. Now that they've actually made it official, partly because she has just been selected to be the Secretary of Education by President-elect Trump. So she's going back into politics, and um, so we'll see how it goes. Um, Next match, LA Knight, Shinsuke Nakamura. LA Knight's going to retain the title for now. The program with him and Shinsuke is pretty recent, and I don't think it's time yet to put the belt on Shinsuke over LA Knight. LA Knight's popularity, although it is fading, but he's still extremely popular with the crowd because he gets the crowd eating out of the palm of his hand whenever he's there. I mean, he cuts a good promo. He's good in the ring, but maybe him losing the title will kind of help boost him. So if that makes any sense, but not yet. I say Shinsuke is still going to be chasing the title. This right here, yes, LA Knight's going to retain. However, it's going to be with an asterisk of some kind, whether it be, um, some kind of Shinsuke might try to use a weapon LA Knight uses against him, pins him, so maybe it won't be clear, or the whole thing of referee didn't see his shoulder was up, or something like that. So there's going to be some controversy. LA Knight's going to retain for now. Shinsuke is going to win it down the road, maybe at the Rumble, because Rumble's only in 2 months. It's going to be in Indianapolis. I actually know personally here going to it. I really hope I can get tickets somehow because I'd like to go to it too. But we'll just have to see. So, the women's Wargames match. And so this is Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and Bayley, who just added, versus the Judgment Day, who Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae. I am going to go ahead and say it's going to be the Judgment Day team. Liv, Raquel, Nia, Tiffany, Candice LeRae. Don't know who's going to pin who, but this is going to set up future matches, such as Rhea Ripley, Nia Jax. Again, Tiffany Stratton, of course, is the Money in the Bank for the winner for the women. She's still walking with that briefcase, and that's been an ongoing storyline. They need to cash that in soon, though, because people get tired of seeing it. Bayley just returning with them because they're like, oh, Bayley, she's changed, but Bayley's back in there with some of the damage control people who turned on her. So there's a lot of intrigue and storylines here, a lot of drama here. But I think Judgment Day takes it because it kind of sets up that disappointment. And then you also have the whole thing. The reason why Bayley had to even join this team to begin with, why they needed an extra person, is because Jade Cargill was taken out. Maybe they'll reveal who it was that hit Jade with a car or whatever it was and left her laying down on the windshield of a car with the windshield all cracked. But maybe they will reveal who that was. Probably. That'll make sense. She and Bianca Belair right now are the women's tag team champions. And I know there's a lot of speculation. I know this is rumor, and this is not a dirt sheet podcast, and it never will be. That's one thing I do not intend to ever do, is start becoming dirt sheet, because that's like yellow journalism. Because being a podcaster is kind of a quasi journalist, and I don't see myself doing like yellow journalism. Okay, I'm not Dave Meltzer. I mean, he can go and take that. I'm not, no disrespect to Dave Meltzer, but that's just not my thing. You know, because to me, it when you're getting insider information, just not a fan of it. Uh, but with Jade Cargill, there's always rumors about her basically not getting along with the other women backstage, not getting along with people backstage. I'll say personally, um, she's been with WWE now for uh, a year, just barely over a year. I actually saw her last match in AEW in person. It was in Cincinnati, and everybody knew she was leaving. But when she showed up, I think it was Survivor Series last year, she showed up on a pay-per-view, but just showed up, but then didn't wrestle. And then you didn't see her wrestle for a bit. You say, well, she's learning how to wrestle the WWE style. And I took a few months. And then when she came in, she's been a lot of botches. And I'll be honest with you, it looks sometimes like she's phoning it in. You know, I just don't see a lot of effort being made on her part. Um, she's got a good look. She can give a good promo, and she has good skills if she would use them. And so here it is. She should have already gotten past a lot of these hurdles, and she hasn't. And not only that, because when you have a tag team, especially when they are tag team champions, the team should come in as a team, not two individuals. Now, I'm not saying that's her making that decision. I'm not saying it's Bianca Belair making that decision. But to me, they just don't seem like a team. They should be, but they don't. And I think personally, with all the botches and kind of the poor attitude, makes me wonder how much longer she's going to be there, if she's going to be there very long to begin with. You put her and Bianca in a match against each other. Yes, I think it'll be a money making match, but it'll give you a one time pop because Bianca's going to bring it. I just don't think Jade will. That's just my personal opinion. Okay, but I think Judgment Day. No, I'll just say that I think they're going to win this one, but you're going to have drama coming at this match, just like all the War Games matches you do. And I think this case, I mean, you have 5-on-5. I mean, you have the potential for a lot of drama coming out. Um, and so maybe Tiffany will, cash in during this match. It's Tiffy time. And all of a sudden she pins Nia Jax. That'd be kind of funny, actually. So, all right, last one. And I'm going to guess this will be the original, or this will be the um, headline match. This will be the main event. The original Bloodline versus the Wish.com Bloodline. Okay. Original Bloodline, Roman Reigns, the Usos, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk are going against Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa, and Bronson Reed. Um, I think it's going to be a brutal match. I think it'll be a good match because, especially when, well, you have the team on one side who you have a lot of different move sets, a lot of different personalities. You have the other team, which is just brutal and just they're like steamrollers. I mean, they're just going to run right through you. And so you have the the complementary styles there, I guess, if you want to call it conflicting styles, but those kind of make for good matches. They can. Um, I do think the original Bloodline wins. Um, but I do think CM Punk is going to turn on Roman. Right now, people are cheering Roman Reigns. He, the thing about Roman Reigns, all right, he was a face for so long, but people were booing him, and part of that, people, me included, and my co-host, who's still on hiatus, Delicious Dwayne Davis, you know, we said that for a while. Is turn Roman Reigns heel. The people are booing him anyway. Give him a mouthpiece, probably Paul Heyman, because Roman's promos are horrible, like really horrible. Even John Cena called him out and said, "There's got a promo, Roman. You want to run with the big dogs, you're gonna have to learn." I mean, that was a kind of a shoot statement that he made. Get a little bit of my coffee there. But when Roman left, and of course, that was the record scratch moment when, of course, it's pre-COVID. He was the champion, world champion, and he came out of Monday Night Raw. And of course, people, were booing him, and some people were cheering, but people were booing him. And then he said, "My name is Joe, and I've been battling leukemia for, however many years." And all of a sudden, it's like, boo. And it got quiet because all of a sudden it became very real. This is not just a wrestler. This is not a character. This is a real person and who's fighting a real disease. And so he left for however many months, came back. People were cheering him because, hey, look, he's back. He said, "I'm in remission." He came back. And of course, when COVID happened, I mean, and I don't blame him. I mean, because he does have to worry about his immune system. He did kind of leave again, but um, when he came back, he finally made that heel turn because eventually, when he came back the first time, they started booing him again because he was being pushed as this white meat baby face. And Roman Reigns is not a golly gee shucks kind of guy. Roman Reigns, I mean, he's a pretty tough dude. He was the captain of the football team at Georgia Tech. I mean, come on. Um, he's not oh, hey guys, he's just that's just not him. He made him a heel. All of a sudden, you brought his own personality back, and boom, and people were booing him, but they were booing the character because the character was supposed to be booed, and eventually they started cheering him, and they were watching him because they wanted to see him lose, and he held the title for so long, and just when you think he's going to lose it, oh boom, he manages to retain it, and he was over the bloodline, and they did some pretty dastardly things, and then he lost the title to Cody, and he disappeared, coming back because of what's happened to the bloodline, how he's going to be taking over um, what he feels is his rightful position. And by the way, during this time, he also lost his father and his uncle within a month of each other. The Alpha and Seek of the Wild Samoans. I mean, that's a real thing. Um, but now he's come back, and now they're cheering him, and he's got the same attitude. It's not the white meat baby face. It's the acknowledge me. I'm the tribal chief, and but people are actually cheering it. You bring CM Punk with Paul Heyman, and you have Punk turn on him because I think a lot of people are happy to see CM Punk return. I've always been on the side of let's wait till the other shoe drops because there's a pattern with CM Punk. Haven't really seen it happen yet. He's also been injured a couple times, and things happen. It's a rough business. Injuries do happen. But now all of a sudden they're bringing him back, putting him with the bloodline, and they've had, putting with the original bloodline, and they've had issues, but bringing him back with Paul Heyman, and they had the thing where Roman called Paul Heyman, but the number had been disconnected, so Paul changed his phone number, well, quote unquote, without giving his new number to Roman, and now all of a sudden he shows up with CM Punk. There's going to be more with that. So I think CM Punk turns on Roman. I don't see Roman turning. I do see CM Punk turning. So there you go. And so I think it'll be a good show ish. I mean, I'm not that excited about it. I think there's going to be that match is probably going to be good. Um, Gunther and Damian Priest will be a good match. The triple threat, maybe LA Knight and Shinsuke, that should be a good match. The women's has potential. We'll just have to see. I'm not gonna say there's any wink links in there, but but that one definitely has potential because you look at who's in there, it could really that pendulum could swing either way. So All right. Now I want to talk about something a little bit more serious, and that's really about this show. Okay. Um, when I don't record in a month, and before that, it was like another month. This show started out about 4.5 years ago. And before, I mean, cranking out at least one episode every week and then moved to two. And, there have been times I don't think they ever did 5 episodes in a week, but I know we did at least four. And I say we because, started out with one co-host, Kyle, good friend of mine. Um, and then, Kyle ended up, he was on the show for just over a year. And then he ended up having to step down because he had a lot of things going on in his life. And I definitely respected that. And so he stepped down with Joylan, Delicious Joylan actually stepped in um, right about the same time that Kyle had to step down. So the timing actually worked out pretty well on that one. So and we were cranking out episodes, I mean, quite a bit. And but right now I'm only able to do so many because right now, of course, Joylan went on a hiatus well, about a year ago actually. We At first, it was let's get through December because he had just had a lot of stuff going on. Just, he has a baby at home, and who man, a baby's about 6 months old now. Nico is about 6 months old now, so and he had other family stuff going on, and I get it. I mean, it happens. Um, and we always said family comes first. So right now, the family and my household, they all come first, and so here lately, I just got to take care of life priorities. Okay, right now, um, about a year and a half ago, I left the job I was working at Charter Communications because there were times where Joanna and I'd be set to record, and we always recorded at 8 o'clock at night, and I would call him or text him about 7:30, 7:45, and say, "Dude, I'm still at my office." When we were re-recording at 8:30, that's right, that's the time we started, 8:30 Eastern time, and I'd be texting, "Dude, I'm still at the office," because the job demands were becoming um, pretty severe, and they were starting to grow and grow and grow, and there was no reprieve. And there was one night I was actually driving to band practice at my church because I play bass, and occasionally guitar for my church's band or praise team. I was driving and I felt pain going on the left side of my jaw. Okay. For those of you who don't know what that means, what's significant about that, that is a sign of a possible heart attack or stroke. So, um, I ended up going in, the next day, and I talked to my boss, and then a week later, I put in my notice, and I actually gave him a 6 week notice because I actually, I had a good job. I mean, and I actually enjoyed the job. There was other priorities at home that had to take precedence, but um, because I was working all those hours and I was burning myself out with that, this show had to take a back burner on that. There was a couple weeks we couldn't record. So a year and a half later, obviously, I still haven't found a full time job. Not for lack of looking. Um, I have lost count of how many jobs I've applied for. I've lost count of how many rejection emails I've got. I've lost count of how many interviews I'm hearing. Most jobs I apply for, I don't hear anything. But there are some that will at least let me know, hey, we received your application. All right, cool. Now we're going to look at it. Now it may be a week later. I got a rejection email for a job a few days ago that I totally forgot I even applied for. And with the interviews, I've had quite a few interviews. I've had some where I have to go to, like the next level of interviews, and obviously nothing's panned out. So I ended up applying to be a substitute teacher for the county where we live. Now I'm still working and started doing that a couple months ago because my wife, she did that for a while before she actually found the job she's working now. And she actually liked it. I'm thinking, okay, let me do that. Now I do a little bit different what she did. She wanted to focus on like the little small elementary school kids. Me, I'm like, nope. Definitely not. I want the any kind of classes where they change out every hour, or actually now it's not even every hour; it's like every 45 minutes. Um, but I want to change it out because it breaks up the day a lot better, makes the day go by faster, and I have enjoyed it for the most part. I mean, it's been more mostly positive. Now there have been some negatives. There's one particular school I've already told people as far as I'm concerned, I will never sub in that school again because I felt like I was going to get stabbed. And then I have found out that yeah, there are kids at that school, not recently, but who have actually pulled a knife on the principal. So it's that kind of school. In the meantime, I am still looking for a different job. Obviously, still haven't found it, um, but I'm also having a lot of hours outside the home because of other things. A lot of it's due to my son's activities. My son's in Scouts. My son plays saxophone, takes saxophone lessons, even though he's a homeschool right now. Of course, making sure he does that, making sure we get things done around the house. Then I have my own stuff like the church praise team. I'm also in the VFW. I've been involved with that, and just get involved with other things. And so, right now, I'm just not finding a lot of time to even watch the current product live when they happen. My son has his meetings, scout meetings, Monday nights. I don't get home sometimes about 9 o'clock at night because of that. Get home, show's already almost halfway over by the time I get home, and I still have to eat dinner or supper, whatever you want to call it. So I'm having to catch the replays when I can. Plus, here's something else that I've been able to watch with the current product. Now I'm focusing mostly on WWE. I catch AEW extremely rarely. The WWE matches are, and they've had this happen in the past. To me, they are too formulaic. Case in point, I was able to watch the most recent Raw live because my I was not able to take my son to his Boy Scout meeting. My wife did. I was actually feeling kind of sick. Um, I was supposed to work the day as a sub, and I ended up having to cancel the job, which is like kind of a big no-no. When you have a sub job, you don't cancel it. If you do, you can't just, you may not be able to work the next day either. But I had a bad stomach virus, and it would not be, it been good for me to be. This particular school was about 35, 40 minutes away. I didn't want to be there and all of a sudden get sick, and plus get the kids sick. But I was able to watch the Raw live, and within 10 minutes, Gunther's being put through the announce table by Damian Priest. Are we seriously going to crash the announce table at the very beginning of the show? Do we have to break the announce table on every single show? What's the purpose? Oh, look, everybody live. Oh, look, we broke the table. Okay, now you got to reset it back up though. And there's other spots they repeat. They always have the one where everybody just happens to be standing outside the entrance and they happen to catch the person, man or woman, either jumping off the top rope, jumping over the top rope, jump through. They manage to catch them. They have the spots where the person is diving through the ropes. I hate that stupid move, because it just looks like they're jumping out and pushing him. That's it. Um, and you have other things. It's becoming very formulaic again. Now the storylines are different, and I get it. That's one of the things people are tuning in. Partly because the storylines give you the reason for the match. Okay. Um, but let's make sure the action in the match is not the same thing over and over and over again. Um, the AEW audiences, from what I've seen, are still kind of anemic. You're still reports about that. I have not caught any of their latest big event. There's other companies pretty be growing. TNA is back on the upswing. NWA, Billy Corgan's really going out, and he's, I guess, purchasing or bringing these other territories um, under his wing, trying to rebuild what the NWA used to be, National Wrestling Alliance, where you had all these territories that all work together. Now, I have been to a couple of local shows through the Northern Wrestling Federation, through Spot Monkey Promotions. In fact, I went to a show not this past Friday, but the Friday before that. Myself and Randy, Rescue Randy, we went to a show for Spot Monkey, and we still enjoy watching the indie wrestling because, well, you don't have the video screen showing all the replays. You don't, you sometimes the spots that you see in the big companies you will see on the indie shows, but not as much, thankfully. And so I've been enjoying those. I haven't been able to go to a lot of the indie shows. NWF, I mean, I used to go to a lot of their shows. Anymore, if it's not a show in the town where I live, um, or right close by, I generally don't go because part of it is money because our finances have been absolutely horrible lately. Not even going to get into that, but it's actually been keeping me from going to these shows. Plus, these shows themselves are not anywhere close. And I've said this before, it's not that it's a 45 minute to an hour drive away, it's the 45-minute to an hour drive back, especially late at night. Um, and I am tired. And I have to get up early the next day, because once again, I have to be at church at 8:30 in the morning. And when I don't get home until after midnight, it kind of means I don't get a whole lot of sleep. Now, one of the things about the Spot Monkey show I went to, they generally hold their shows in high school gyms. They do a lot of fundraisers for the high schools for their athletic departments, and I think it's a good thing. Um, the day of that indie show they had, it was on a Friday. That particular day, I actually subbed in that school, and so got to talk with some of the kids. They found out I had the podcast, and some of them actually asked to come on, and I had to tell them, if you ain't 18, because these were like eighth graders and ninth graders, if you're not 18, you need to have your parents contact me. I'm not just going to not just going to have you come on the show, because there's a lot of legalities there, and I really don't feel like down that road. And because every time I upload this show on YouTube, I actually have to check a box whether or not there are kids under 18 on the show. If they are, I mean, I want to make sure the parents know and let them know, look, if it's on the internet, it's there forever, you know. And they're just coming on just to hang out. I'm not going to have it. You have to have a reason to come on the show. I just don't. I won't just let anybody come on here. I do vet the people coming on. Um, but one of the big reasons why I just haven't been able to do the show, I burn out. I mean, that's the absolute truth. I mean, the original premise of the show was a mixture of old things and new. It was talk about armchair booking, what you would have done different. The show recently, what would you have done differently on a show that just happened? And it eventually evolved into what is now, which has been focusing more on current stuff with the occasional interview. Um, I have been very fortunate enough. I've had some, big names on here. I've had Buff Bagwell on here. I've had Larry Zabesco. I walk at Chris Harris on twice, and I've had a lot of other indie indie wrestlers. I've had other fans. I mean, ran a series for a while, why we were fans, where I actually had other podcasters. I actually had a good friend of mine in Dwaylen's from high school, who was a what you want to call TikTok famous. He has over 1.5 million followers on TikTok, but he came on. And, then during this whole time, I've actually changed the platform the show was on originally. I've changed podcast hosts because before we were on Block Talk Radio, then we switched to Spreaker. It was half the cost and twice the features. That was kind of a no-brainer. Also mentioned before, changed co-hosts. It was Kyle, and then it became Dwaylen. Now Kyle has made some appearances back on the show, but if you know Kyle, Kyle doesn't stay idle. I mean, he's just a very, very busy man, and he's still pushing up a lot of weight. He does a lot of powerlifting competitions, and oh my God, if you know the numbers that he puts up are just, um, I mean, I don't think I could lift it that much weight as what he does if I did it like 1 pound at a time. It would just wear me out. But he's managed to do when you're looking at the bar, and you're like, how's that bar not bending? Well, there you go. Also added video because the show started out as audio only. And then eventually somebody suggested we add video, put the show on YouTube. And Dwaylen was the co-host by this time, and we discussed it, and we finally decided, you know what, let's just go for it. One of the things that actually ended up happening because of that, our audience went from the audio to watching it now on YouTube. When that did, all of a sudden our money, because we were getting paid. I mean, not a ton of money, but we were getting paid through Spreaker, and because they run ads. Unfortunately, something happened, and it was my fault. I mean, I admit I tried to pad our downloads, and I ended up causing the show to get demonetized. That was my mistake. And think, oh my God, we just lost all these people. Because I'm not going to tell everybody go back to, I don't, like I said, I don't tell everybody what platform to use, but we did lose um, our audience for audio and then video. Now that one also went down, but now it's all of a sudden it's jumping back up again. And you have to excuse me, my golden doodle just jumped up in my lap. Okay, he's been quiet this whole time, but um, also Dwaylen went on hiatus last year, and so I've been running it solo ever since with the occasional guest. I have had some offers from people to help out, and which I'm very grateful for. Kyle has offered to come again, and they all said not on a permanent basis. They said, here and there. Kyle has offered, Justin Treno from TNC Sports Talk, he's offered, and Rescue Rain, he's also offered. Those are the ones they've been on the show as guests before. I've had other people just kind of offer, hey, you need help, just let them know. And I'm always very grateful for anybody who's willing to help out. And but it's a matter of timing. It's like I don't even know when I'm going to record. Um, and I can't um make a schedule and then not appear. I mean, that's just I'm not. If I can't commit, I'm not going to force them to commit to something because that's not fair to them. Um, and then one of the things also which kind of hurt some was the FanFest debacle that also affected Randy. Just some stuff that happened at this FanFest that Randy and I were helping out at, which the aftermath of it, because Randy and I we were treated like absolute dirt while we were there. We weren't the only ones. There were other helpers who were treated badly. The wrestlers themselves were treated badly, um, and they have spoken out about it. And I actually had, the host of another podcast actually on the show because he had actually discussed this with one of the wrestlers, and then he actually discussed it with the promoters, a father and son who ended up getting into a fight on his show. Then they tried to deny it, so I had to come on my show, and I told them, I tagged them, if you want to come on the show and dispute this, by all means. Well, they didn't do that. Instead, I got sent a very nasty message. By the way, Bobby Fulton and Dylan Hines, whatever, you're both pricks. So just leave it at that. Um, but they said I am now banned permanently from their fan fest. They also tried to say I was banned from other companies too, which they have no business. They have even saying that. But since I've been banned from that, but the fan fest, um, they were starting to kind of go down anyway. And I know they've actually had some problems getting going, and I know they've had conflicts with other people. So I'm kind of vindicated when it comes to that. But another thing about the burnout, okay, all my other indie podcasting colleagues, friends already know this. Unless you're running in a studio as a professional show with a massive audience, everything falls pretty much on one person. I'm the owner, which means I'm the host, I'm the producer, I do the research. Now, when I have had co-hosts, I mean, they did research as well. But for a show like this, I'm the only one doing the research. I'm also the writer, if you want to call it that. I'm the editor. I do all the marketing. I'm the one who has all the resources. I have the laptop, which I'm literally looking at the camera for right now. If you notice this headset, this is the third headset that I've had since I started the show. I'm also using a different microphone. This microphone on this headset. The other microphone, I actually have it. Actually, is still. If you watch on video, there it is right there. It's still here. Um, but I've been switching out microphones because I just need a little bit better equipment. But one of the things I've also noticed, I have other wrestling podcasting colleagues and friends who have also not been putting out episodes either. So I don't know why they haven't, but I'm guess if it's similar to me, the burnout can be very real, especially when you're the only person, you're a one person show, a one person thing. Even when I have co-hosts, well, I have all the equipment. And there's been talk about, well, if I could transfer different stuff to different people, maybe they could handle that part. and it's just logistically, it just doesn't work. I mean, we've actually discussed it, looked at it, and decided not to go through with it. And so it's really, if I'm not available, we don't have a show, and that's what it comes down to. It's a single point of failure, which I know is not the most ideal thing, but unfortunately it happens. Bigger shows, and there are bigger wrestling podcasts. You see them on YouTube all the time. Um, they actually have teams that help with these responsibilities. They have multiple hosts. They have people who work behind the scenes producing. This show is dual platforms, audio and video. There's also twice as much editing I have to do. Because this particular episode right here, as soon as I get off as soon as I hit stop, it's going to process because I run this through Zoom, and then I'm about to run through some other software to convert it, and then I have to run it through some more software to get the music added to the ends, and then I also have to write the show description, and then I have to upload it. Then I have to try and do the same thing, different editing, things like that, before the video part of it, which also takes twice as long it takes twice as long to edit the video as what does audio, and then uploading it to YouTube can take hours. This show right here looks like it's probably going to be about an hour long or so. It'll probably take about 2.5 hours for it to completely upload to YouTube. But I will, and I'm not throwing everybody, but I'm just saying, I mean, it takes a long time. And so anytime I do an episode of Armchair Booking, I actually have to look and make sure I actually have all that time available to do it. Today I do. Today's the day before Thanksgiving. And so I have a little bit more time available to me because all the schools right here closed today as well. And so I knew I'd actually have time. By the way, I also have another podcast, the Cubicle Chat. I have been able to do episodes of that one, just not as many, obviously. I was doing those during the day, but with me subbing, I can't. But that one is only audio. And that one, it's more free form. It's not stuck on one subject of wrestling. I mean, I do all kinds of other topics in that one. But even that show, I've been able to do maybe once a week, so. But I will say this: look for some changes for the show soon. I feel it's time, regardless of my schedule. I do need to get more episodes out there. I know this. Um, look for changes in, it may be something as simple as the music, it may be the logo, but just look for changes to happen soon. I feel like I need to go back to the old and new together. That was the original premise of the show, and I went away from that. But I am trying to grow the audience. I actually had somebody reach out and ask me to subscribe to their podcast and said, "Hey, do me a solid, subscribe to mine." They did. We'll just have to see the relationships with that. There's been another podcast that I met at that spot show, or the Spot Monkey show, a couple weeks ago, and we're talking about doing a collaboration. So there's things coming. Not only that, but I was actually giving a shout out, to a different podcaster by someone who's actually well respected in this industry. And this person was saying that, this guy, he was saying he really hopes my show grows. He wants my show to do well. So my confidence level is boosted. I feel I kind of owe it to him to keep pushing and grinding. If somebody gives you a shout out, they give you props, you need to live up to it. That's just the way it is. But in the meantime, as I wrap this up, I do want to say, for all my American listeners, watchers, happy Thanksgiving. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. I'm very thankful and grateful for every person in my life, every listener, every watcher, any person that is taking time out of their day to watch the show. Anytime, if you want to give me feedback, I do get comments on the shows, on YouTube. The audience is growing. It's just my responsibility to help, give them a reason to keep coming back. And so until we can actually meet again, my friends, like I said, hope everybody has a very happy Thanksgiving. God bless.